Greetings YouTube, welcome to my mid-season 3 patch where I break down the hero tier list that I've seen in GM and top 500 ranked play, mostly in North America. There was a patch, I think last week, where they changed a couple of the interactions like Sombra being able to hack Orisa, a small Zarya buff, a small ball nerf, etc, etc. So here's where I think the meta has shifted at these ranks. The most important thing though is I changed my parameters yet again. I get a lot of feedback in the tier lists where people will say, how could you put a person in D tier when I play this hero and I've seen them be really good? Well, I've always said that they're a little bit more deceiving because I previously give an explanation, but it usually goes S, A, B, C, D, and it just so happens to be D because it's the last row, but in reality, they're not really D tier. The discrepancy isn't as big as it's supposed to be, so I've renamed the parameters once again so there's no more confusion where S plus means they're really strong. Go to the top 500 leaderboard, you can check in game, see the three top most played heroes, and guaranteed one of them will be up here. S for strong, A for good and reliable, B plus, for good but a bit more niche, so they're starting to get a bit more uncommon but they're still good, and then B minus where they're uncommon but they're still good, like they're playable. Everybody has one-tricked a hero to top 500. Every single hero in this list or in Overwatch has been one-tricked to top 500, so it's possible. They're still good, but it's mostly down to comfort picks and one-tricks, people who just main a hero and they'll play it no matter what, and that's fine. People who are really good at their hero are great at their hero, and I always leave it at that. D.Va tier list previously, I think I had her in strong, and I'm going to keep her strong. I'm going to put her in S tier right now. This strong, she's versatile. She can actually play really well against the meta DPSs, which she can annoy tracers by matrixing some of her rotations, even eat a pulse bomb. She can annoy Widowmakers, she can annoy Cassidys, which we'll see, and she can actually pressure the flying heroes like Echo and Pharah. Echo being a bit more common in top 500, where you don't necessarily kill the Echo, but you can at least annoy them, fly into them a little bit. She's so versatile, good on a lot of maps, so I'm gonna put her in strong. Now really strong is a slight cut above, and I was almost gonna put Doomfist up there because when I was looking at the top 500 leaderboards, I think Doom is unbelievably common right now and played a lot more than people give credit for. A lot of people will say he's bad or whatever, especially after that nerf in season 2. Everyone thought he was trashed here, but I think after the One Punch Man skin, maybe that's adding to a bit of the bias, but I see Dooms every other game right now as the tank choice. I would honestly almost put him at S+, but I think I'm going to reserve that for another hero, which I think you can guess, just one hero. But Doom is still a strong hero, right? It was 3 seconds on the punch, now it's 4 seconds. But think about it, 4 seconds for either super mobility or a stun. Can you tell me any other tank that has a 4-second stun? And you can punch, stun someone, power block, and get it reset and punch again. So you can actually double stun really quickly if things work out. I don't think there's any hero that's even similar to that kind of a style and movement. So that's why I think he's fun, which is why he's played a lot as well. I don't know, I think an uncontested Doom can still be really strong. That being said, there are quite a few ways to play around him and counters, but I'm going to keep him in S tier. I think he's still really strong in the top 500 level. Junkrat, I actually rated her a little bit lower in the previous tier list. She was in the green tier, which looked like C or D in my previous tiers, but she was never C or D. She was always I would say high B. And I think I've underrated her a little bit more. I think after all those spicy buffs in season 2, we've seen a lot more Junkrat, and she's actually okay against Wrecking Ball. Not necessarily because you kill the Wrecking Ball, but because you just farm your ultimate so fast against Wrecking Ball. And you're a shotgun based hero, so if Ball's somewhat close, you just keep shooting him nonstop, you pressure him. It's hard for you to int into Wrecking Ball. You're not really supposed to do that as a tank. When Wrecking Ball is rolling around, you kind of have to just trade and go for their backline, which is generally kind of possible if you can close the gap. They might have, the enemy team might run Wrecking Ball and Tracer dive, which means you go for their backline, sprint into them. You kind of need a comp around to enable you a little bit. You need some resources to pop off as Junkrat, but she's actually pretty good and reliable in this meta. Decent against Doom, decent against Wrecking Ball, and a couple of the matchups. A couple of her counters aren't really meta right now, which are going to be Roadhog and Zarya, but we'll get to it in a bit. Orisa, previously strong in the previous seasons, a couple of nerfs to her fall off damage, her fortify, and most recently in this mid-season patch, they allowed Sombra to hack her instantly out of Terra Surge, and I don't like that. I think if Sombra gets played a bit more, it makes Orisa really, really hard to play in that matchup. And I think Sombra's getting a bit more playtime. I've seen a few more running around, apart from one tricks, like people just swapping into Sombra, because Sombra does play well into Doom, plays well into Ball. So, and if people play Orisa, she'll just be pretty good with them as well. I think that change that they added for Sombra is not healthy for Orisa to get I think they could have nerfed her in a different way. I know they want to be consistent where if you hacked her channeled ultimate, she would no longer be able to pop the ultimate. But I think the middle ground is like, if she charges like 200% and she gets hacked, at least let her detonate that 200%, or that damage she built up at least gets exploded versus losing it completely. Because you have to sit still and charge for 5 seconds. You're the easiest person to hack in the world. I think at the highest levels, like I really think Orisa's uncommon right now. She's among like the 3 other tanks that I just barely see in, at least in North America, in top 500. There's a few comfort and one trick players. I know a few that I've seen that will still play Orisa right now, but other than that, she's pretty uncommon. So she's still B. Remember, she's not D tier previously. She's still B, like still good, but a bit more uncommon now. Ramattra, I think I maybe overrated him a little bit in early season 3. I thought he would still dominate, but he's kind of fallen down a little bit just because of all the wrecking ball. Sometimes Ramattra does need a few resources to be to pop off as much as he did in the previous seasons, especially with the other tanks getting a bit more playtime. But he's still like a good and reliable hero, so I'm gonna put him in A. Reinhardt, really I was gonna say really strong, but I think wrecking ball will take the cake for that. But I'm still gonna put Ryan in strong. Like ever since all his changes, you don't actually need Lucio as much as you think you do, especially in solo queue. If you and your Lucio are off sync, it kind of just sucks. The Lucio is not as essential because you can cancel your charge now in Overwatch 2, right? So you can close the gap a little bit easier. Lucio will certainly enable you to play a lot better, same with Baptiste, but it's not as required. And Ryan is really good on the maps he's really good on. A lot of brawly maps, a lot of control maps. He's like god tier. He doesn't play well on some maps because like a lot of high ground he can't contest, but he's still a really strong pick right now after all his buffs, especially now that Fire Strike doing 100. I play a lot of Baptiste, so I've played with a lot of Reinhardts, and we combo all the time. It's great, strong hero. Roadhog, he did get another buff in season 3, but I think he's still pretty uncommon, and only one tricks will still play him, and some people who feel comfortable falling back to him, because Roadhog still plays well into a few tanks, such as Doomfist, Ramattra, and Wrecking Ball. So people will swap to him as a comfort choice, but he's not usually a first choice these days. So he's uncommon for that reason, but he's still actually not bad. Like he's good. Sigma, I think Sigma is strong. Sigma plays really well in this season's map pool. I think that was the biggest argument. A lot of Sigma's strongest maps are in the pool, which are Shambali, Circuit Royale, Havana, Junkrat Town. All those payload maps, if you get those maps, like you can just play Sigma and you're set the whole time. Like you don't really need to adjust to the enemy team. You could just play Sigma and be super, super reliable. One-shots people, a lot of HP, good damage output. He's just well-rounded on those maps, so put him in strong. Winston, one small change to Winston and he's already back into the meta choice. But I would almost argue uncommon in North America, but I do see him a bit more than Roadhog and Orisa, but actually less than Junkrat Queen and Ramattra. Winston, I still see a lot on Dorado, especially Dorado first point defense. A lot of people will play Winston. Sometimes they swap on second or third, but Winston's still good on that map. Winston's still decent on like Colosseo, for example, but although I've been seeing a lot more D.Vas being played on Colosseo instead. Winston, good. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Good, but a bit more niche. Wrecking Ball. I kind of mentioned him all throughout the other tanks, but when I was talking about the other tanks, excuse me, but he's just a cut above everybody else. Still really strong. They nerfed his mine arm time to 1.25 seconds. It used to be 1.5 in the previous patch when he was bad. They buffed it to 1 second, which is ridiculous. If he just pops mines and you pile drives you, you're pretty much dead in most cases because it just detonates so quickly. They put it in the middle ground 1.25. Doesn't really change much for him. Like he was already still good at 1.5 seconds because these mines last way too damn long. They last 20 seconds. It's so long and so annoying for enemy teams to slowly break them down. I think the biggest underrated change, obviously the faster pile drive cooldown to instant pile drive off cooldown is good for the top players, but really that shield HP change is actually way more important than people give credit for because it lowers your downtime. The time that you do nothing and sit for heals and roll for health packs is removed, so you can leave and re-engage way quicker, and the quicker pile drive enables that playstyle too. You suck less resources for your supports, which you don't have to roll away as much, so your supports can pocket other people. You don't have to stay out of the fight and find a health pack. I kind of repeated myself, but you get the point. Ball, if you look at the top 500 leaderboard, it's ball everywhere. So I just think he's a cut above, so that's why I put him in S+. Zarya, still a very uncommon tank. She got a small buff this season. I have seen a bit more Zaryas in the past couple of days. Maybe those are the people who were like really good Zarya mains, but they had to like put her on the back burner because other choices were too good. But that being said, a small cooldown buff back to Zarya means she's viable. It just sucks because Zarya, one of Zarya's good matchups is actually Orisa, one of the decent ones, and Orisa's not common, so she's kind of down here. Although Zarya does play decent into, I would say Junkrat Queen, plays pretty decent in his D.Va, so D.Va being a bit more common, I've seen some people respond with Zarya, which is quite nice, but I'm still going to put her in a bit uncommon for now, just mostly for one tricks. Ashe, ooh. I think I previously had her on strong, and I actually think she deserved to be at the A in the middle tier, good and reliable, because the other hit scans and stuff are a lot better choices. But they just buffed Bob in this patch, where she, the target that she shoots at will make Bob shoot at them too. But he's a smart AI, smart Bob. It's Bob GPT, where basically if you shoot a target but they're actually out of Bob's line of sight, he won't randomly just start shooting in that direction and hit the wall or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm shooting a tracer here and there's like a payload here and the Bob is behind it, Bob won't stop shooting the person to try to shoot the tracer because the Bob can't see it. It's a smart AI. So if tracer was in line of sight of Bob and I shot the tracer in the leg, then the Bob will switch targets and go for me. So improved AI in that actually makes Ashe a lot more deadly. Mercy is still very common and can pocket and enable her. I would say she's actually a strong hit scan choice. Bastion, I would actually say he's not as uncommon as I gave him credit for. Like, he's actually played by a few heroes now. Yes, they're mostly one tricks, but like he's a bit niche, but he's actually pretty good. They lowered the downtime between his his turret form rotation, which allows him to be pretty good. And he absolutely blasts Wrecking Ball, who's the most common tank. If like Wrecking Ball has to be patient in this matchup. If he tries to fully engage on and like the Zenyatta discords the ball and the Bastion gets ready to transform, like this ball is pretty much cooked. Ball can't like 1v1 a Bastion. And if there's any sort of semblance of help and a bad engagement by Ball, Bastion rolls him, literally. Cass, still at the top, really strong, 225 HP. Obviously been really good, but why was he bad before in the previous season, and why is he also in S tier? That fall off range change at the beginning of season 3, I was like, I think this guy's going to be S+, and I was correct. Cass is the most reliable hit scan. He's durable. He's able to tank Tracer's pulse bomb with the roll and high noon. You can't fight him up close as a squishy. He just sticks you one body shot. You're dead. Super easy. And the fall off range means he's the fall off range buff means he's able to do full damage at longer ranges, making him deadlier on a lot of the meta maps. Remember I mentioned the maps that like Sigma was good on? Sigma has an effective range of 20 meters, is where his orbs explode. Cass is pretty much effective in those ranges as well. I think plus a little bit more right now, which means all those kind of like mid-sized maps Cass excels at, so he's just S+. Echo, I would argue that she's just strong. I was gonna say she's really strong, but like she does need like a bit of resources to enable her, but she's one of like the better DPS choices. If you're gonna choose a flyer, she's actually like if you just glance at the top 500 leaderboard and you're looking for either Pharah or Echo, you'll definitely see Echo more often than you'll see like Pharah, unless you're like Yazin. Echo, strong hero, plays really well. I mean, there's obviously a lot of hit scans roaming around, so it's kind of player dependent, but huge burst damage. The duplicate is such a game-changing ultimate, so if you're good at Echo, she's like incredibly strong. Genji. I'm gonna put Genji on A. I think he's actually good and reliable. There's a lot of memes on TikTok and YouTube about like nerfing Genji and stuff, but I actually think Genji is still pretty serviceable. He's good. He was not even that niche. Maybe it's because people just find him fun, so that's why people will always play him no matter what. But because like Ball, Dive, and Doom, like all-ins with this are pretty meta, like Genji can still do his job pretty well. And because Ana is also being played a lot, Nano Boost combos are pretty common again. Unlike the previous seasons where it was all Kiriko, Lucio, or Kiriko Mercy, Ana is being played a lot, so you know you can combo with him pretty well. I'm gonna put him on A tier. Hanzo I previously had in the lower tier, but they just buffed him. They gave him a shorter cooldown on the lunge, back to 4 seconds. 4 seconds of mobility does help a lot more. That's like a 20% increase in the lunge uptime. Makes you a bit more slippery. He's still player dependent on like if you can hit your shots reliably, but in top 500, good Hanzo players are pretty annoying to deal with. He does kind of fall over if like Ball jumps him. So like I find it really hard to put him above B or A. I'm kind of torn between good but a bit niche versus good and reliable, but I think this buff helped him. Like if they're not running Ball and they're running Reinhardt, like Hanzo is pretty good. He's a shield breaker. Like if they're not running hypermobile D.Va Ball, like they run Rein, even Doomfist, Ramattra, like Hanzo owns. And it plays good against Kiriko because they use your ultimate or your dragon as a complete counter to Kitsune Rush. So really comp dependent, so you can go either way. I'm gonna put him on good and reliable for now. I'm gonna assume the buff was net better than what he was before, so up there. Same with Junkrat. They actually nerfed him in the season. Junkrat was like super high up in the early season, or sorry, before season 3, got bumped down. I'm gonna keep him on still good and reliable. Actually, maybe not. I'm gonna put him on a bit more niche now. Still good. Remember, he's B+. B+, still a good hero. Mostly just the junk one tricks are playing him. People aren't just like randomly swapping to him for no reason. He does well against Winston, but Winston's not popular. Does pretty decent against Ball. Like, you can annoy. The trap is like the deadliest thing for Wrecking Ball. But the nerfs did hurt him, so Junkrat's certainly a lot more uncommon than snipers and hit scans right now. So I'm gonna put him on niche. Mei, still good, but niche. She's actually played a lot more. I saw her a lot in the Pro and Amateur League, where teams are running organized Reinhardt, Mei, Hanzo with like Bap, Lucio, but that's like fully coordinated high level play. This is ranked play. Ranked play is a different beast. Mei is still a niche hero, although she's definitely not as uncommon as she previously was. She's good actually. Mei is like really strong right now, especially on New Queen Street. If you guys haven't seen it, people are just doing this infinite stall cheese where they just stand on that window and they wall up and they just AFK. Really good against the common Reinhardt's, good against Sig, good against any ground-based tanks, really. Super annoying, so I think Mei is B+. Pharah as well, a B+ hero, good, but a bit niche. Not super uncommon. Like, most people who can play Echo can also play Pharah. And I think Pharah, if unchecked, can still dominate a game. I think she almost requires a Mercy Pocket, but Echo doesn't to change the breakpoints as much. It's really nice if you have a Mercy Pocket for Echo, but it's not as necessary. Echo can probably do her job with like a Zen Orb or like Brig health packs once in a while. But like Pharah needs the damage boost for the breakpoint change quite a bit more than Echo, I would say. And like she has a get out of jail free card with duplicate, so she can play really aggressive and swap. Hers is like, her ultimate's like a let's trade now and I'll probably die for it kind of thing. So it's just a bit more dependent. She's a bit more niche, but really good. Sorry, just good, excuse me. Reaper. I actually think he's good, but uncommon. Actually, wait, I wrote that here. Uncommon, but still good. Oh, it's mostly just one tricks that play Reaper right now. Probably because he's boring, but I still think he's like a good hero. I think he's like influences away from like being higher into good and reliable. I actually think he's going to be played a lot more in like Overwatch League and Pro Play than Ranked Play. In Pro Play, Reaper probably up here. S or A. In ranked play, he's just uncommon. I don't know what else to tell you. Sojourn, still like a really strong hero, even after all the nerfs. They did increase their hitbox size in the mid-season patch, which probably might arguably put her down to here. Is just strong, but unbelievable with the Mercy Pocket still, like just does so much, even with Wrecking Ball, because she can just pump DPS onto Ball the whole time while he's rolling around. When Ramattra sits there and blocks, you still get full charge while he's blocking, excuse me, which makes it a nightmare to play Ramattra into Sojourn. But yeah, she's still a really strong hero. Soldier, I actually think I had him higher than I anticipated. I thought he would be like way better because of the recoil buffs, but I think he's really good for like the lower ranks, which we'll get to, like the metal ranks, or excuse me, the ranks up to masters. But I think at the highest level, Soldier is actually like not as common as I thought, probably because he just falls over when like Wrecking Ball jumps him, like he actually just dies. Maybe he's good, but a bit more niche right now. Sombra's still down here. It's mostly just one tricks and people who will like comfort pick her, although arguably in B+ soon, but they are going to change her for season 4, I think, and beyond. But right now, she needs another like slight rework, although she does play really well into Wrecking Ball and Doom, like I said. So in those matchups, they go here, but I don't know why people just don't switch to her at the highest level. So she's uncommon, still good in the right situation. So Symmetra, also good, but she's always a bit more niche. Maybe she's like good and reliable. It kind of just depends though. Like her strengths, she's one of those heroes that like we're on the maps and the synergies. When she's strong, she's really strong. But like there are situations where like she just on the really open maps, she just like there's points on the maps where it's just really hard to be like effective everywhere. Which is why I find her almost impossible to always put in like the S+ where you can play her in every situation, just because like there are situations where you can't. Although like with Wrecking Ball, Cass, and Sojourn, it's like you can never go wrong playing them. And even mostly these heroes, maybe sometimes some indoor maps with Echo. So like I would say she's either between A or B+, probably closer to like good and reliable. Yeah, actually I think good Sims at this top 500 level. Yeah, I'm gonna put her at good reliable, sure. Torbjorn, same thing, like Sim Torb. They're just good and reliable, and I'm just surprised. I was glancing at the top 500 players and just checking the most commonly played heroes, and Torb is actually like shows up a lot more than I thought he would. Probably because Torb is like really good anti-Tracer, and I'm gonna put Tracer up in S+ right now just to get that out of the way, just to kind of answer both of them at the same time, where like It's a good answer to Tracer. It can actually be quite annoying for Wrecking Ball as well. It can mark him and detect his engagement before he comes, which is probably why it's played a lot. And his ultimate is super good against all the tanks, really good against Kitsune Rush, Kiriko engagements. So he's good and reliable. He's up here. Widowmaker is dominating top 500 Grandmaster play. Really strong hero. Doesn't matter if she got nerfed to 175 HP. You can't contest her unless you have your own Widowmaker. Although Wrecking Ball can sit on her. I don't know. Widowmakers at this level just own games right now, so she's S+. Look at the top 500 leaderboards. I implore you, just look at how many Widowmakers show up now. And then look at season 1 when we saw Tracer, Genji, Sojourn. Now it's just Widowmakers everywhere. Okay, on to supports. Ana, strong. Actually, all the supports, I wouldn't say any of them are really strong. Supports are actually in a pretty good state balance wise, where like everything is pretty good apart from like maybe 1 or 2 bit more niche and uncommon choices at the highest level. But I sure see Ana a lot. I sure see Baptiste a lot. Right now, they actually buffed this mid-season patch. They buffed it so its immortality field is like 25% of the health against it at 10. And that's like immediately so strong. So strong with Reinhardt right now. Strong with Sigma, which are really good. So okay with Wrecking Ball, D.Va, and Doom. Since they're like super mobile, like it's hard for Bap to reliably heal them, but then he can just take a seat back and just sit and farm and just DPS people, and he can still like chuck lamps. I think Bap is like so good, especially after this mid-season buff. So I'm gonna put him in strong. Brig, she's a bit more niche. I don't think Brig is as required to like mark Wrecking Ball and defend the backline as much as she used to be, because she's also squishy herself. But the recent buff where they gave her like instant heal health pack is actually really good. And a lot more Brigs show up in top 500. I wouldn't say she's good and reliable, because like you can't do anything against the flying heroes or like Widow. You can annoy Tracer, but like Widows, Echoes, who just play out of your effective range forever, you have to just hold your shield against certain matchups, which is kind of makes her a bit more niche. And since these are like pretty common, kind of sucks in those matchups, but that's okay. Like she's no longer like the lowest tier. She's B+ now. Kiriko, still a really strong pick in top 500. Not much to say about that. I've repeated it over and over again. After all those nerfs, she still does what she needs to do. Damage is great. Healing is a bit less than it used to be, but that's why people don't really play her with Lucio or Mercy as much in top 500. People are actually playing it with Ana, so Ana can like pump the healing onto resource-heavy tanks like Rein, Sig, and whatever. So then you can play Kiriko and still play for your Kitsune. Still have Suzu, which will like answer all your Junker Queen problems, and you know, Rein shatters and stuff, and pulse bombs. Like Kiriko still strong choice. Lucio as well, strong choice. Lower in the lower tiers because people don't use the speed effectively, but people at this level usually will coordinate a little bit better if they want to run Rein rush with Lucio or brawl with it, or like if the Lucio's in top 500, like if they're on the top 500 leaderboard, their wall ride mechanics are great. They know how to assassinate and jump snipers like Widowmaker. Lucio can kind of own Widowmaker. Honestly, Kiriko can kind of annoy the Widowmaker too, because Widow's everywhere. Lucio jumps around, jumps them, and can actually kill her really fast with 175 HP, which is quite nice on a few maps. So I think Lucio's strong. Mercy still really still strong as well. A lot less common this season, I will say that. Probably because people were tired of playing Mercy all of last season with Kiriko Mercy, so that's why like people just also have like hero fatigue, where they just don't want to continuously play the same hero over and over again. Like I still think Sojourn's strong, but Sojourn's actually less common than a couple of the other ones. People are probably just tired of playing Sojourn all of season 1. People are tired of playing Mercy all the time, despite her being still even stronger when healing people because of the healing change. Although her movement is certainly nerfed, people are starting to get used to it, and they have been used to it for the past month. So still up here. Moira, uncommon choice. Still a B hero, right? She's still good, but it's mostly just one tricks that will play Moira these days. Most people don't like see a problem because all the other supports are so good. Like you usually run into a combination of also Zenyatta is also strong. I was honestly gonna say really strong, but I think almost all these choices are extremely viable right now, depending on the map and comp, with like Brig being like a maybe against certain matchups, and same with Moira, just like one tricks. This one's more like, okay, maybe you can play this against Doom and Wrecking Ball. Moira, mostly just one tricks. Everything else, a combination of any of these works almost on every single map right now, which is why I have them all here. I can't say one is better than the other because they really aren't. They're all just strong supports. And that is my top 500 GM ranked hero tier list for mid-season 3. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, especially if you're in if you're in GM, even in a different region or on console. Let me know if you see anything different, but I think this tier list encapsulates at least what I see in my games for the most part. Maybe yours are different, but let me know. And that's all for this video. Deuces.